Or no? Oh, there it is.
Yes, you're on the air.
Okay. This is the group discussion, week 3 group discussion. There are chapters 10 and 8. And the prompt for this week is, please discuss with your group members your thoughts on organizational culture. What types of cultures have you experienced in the workplace? Positive, negative, engaging, entertaining, etc. And if you believe that leaders are able to shape culture. So yeah. Should I start, or should anybody want to start?
Go ahead, start.
Sure.
Okay. I will start then. My only experience with organizational culture is just through work. So I mean, I work for Starbucks. Really, like the only experience I have with that, and with that. So for the most part, it's been positive. I mean, everybody's always accepting me. That's something that I like about working there. Everybody's really positive about working there and being a partner and everything like that. I guess that's part of that, like using that kind of language. Is you're not just employees together, you guys are partners with each other, which is something that's different than a lot of the offices that I've been at. Trying to think what else. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, is that anything to say about the organization and stuff like that?
Have you experienced any kind of background issues with other cultures in your organization that you work with?
I had a hard time.
Have you experienced any other cultural background issues with your workplace?
Oh, no, not really. Actually, everybody, and I said other places I've worked, at least with Starbucks, different Starbucks I've worked at, I've never had problems with like cultural background or like race or anything like that too. They're very open. I mean, they've done a lot of rule changing since I've been there. I've only been there for 2 years. Where you could have tattoos and all that stuff and color your hair, and it's a lot different than a lot of jobs that you be at where you have to be, you can't have tattoos like at all, or you have to cover them up, or you have to have normal colored hair and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think one of the other things that Starbucks has is this culture that is, and I think between Rosie, myself, and Michael, who are Starbucks partners, can talk about is different aspects of not just the language, but also Starbucks provides a culture of work-life balance. So it gives everyone an opportunity to, have a life at home, and whether you can integrate it. For instance, for me, I work in the support center, and there are times I have to bring my children in. They're right now 11 and 15, but Starbucks community is very open to bringing them in for a couple hours when need, for some reason, to bring them in. And then also the other thing is that Starbucks really caters to the partners, putting first. Our shop always from the beginning provided really made a priority for Starbucks partners. Other companies would never have. So if you work 20 plus hours for a part-time employee, you get benefits, and you get health care benefits, where a lot of other organizations are doing that for part-time employees. So that's one of the things I like about the culture. At the support center, Starbucks is really big in relationship building, so there's a lot of coffee connects that are happening throughout the building. You see people really integrating, diversity within their organizations, within their business units, making sure that with partner networks, we have partner networks where there is a Black partner network. I am part of the Automotive Affect Network, which is the Hispanic Affinity Group. We have a Pride network. So it provides a culture of inclusiveness where you can be yourself, and be open to other cultures as well. So that's what I love about it.
I think to touch on what you're saying, Julissa, specifically on Chapter 8 and building a trusting climate. So I like how we all kind of have this, not everybody, but a chunk of this group here kind of has that Starbucks food, hospitality industry kind of background. A lot of companies that I've worked for previously did not have that kind of culture or that kind of atmosphere. And it was just kind of, I don't really care to get the job done. While Starbucks is very wanting to support in many areas, like those that are at the Starbucks Support Center, like, you know, having a very integrated staff, such as, like, you know, store managers working on the floor, baristas, you know, district managers working from inside stores, and just kind of like building that trusting climate, and really wanting to inspire people to kind of think outside the box and to move forward with their own ideas at the same time. So I think as far as building a trusted climate is something that is very different for this kind of industry, which is very cool.
Let me ask you guys a question, especially the three that work at Starbucks. Do you feel different Starbucks locations have different cultures within the organization? And if so, is that because of the management that's at each one, or is it the staff that kind of works together to kind of build their own thing based off their own way they click?
Coming from a shift supervisor at a Starbucks, like I feel that it's a little bit of both, like the management itself as well as like the people who are working there. Because on like some level, I guess there's like rules of like conflict of interest, right? Like where, you know, you can't really, the store manager can't really like go and have drinks with like a bunch of people, like a bunch of baristas, you know, it's some conflict of interest and stuff like that.
Some do.
Yeah, some do. Yeah.
Not me.
Yeah. But yeah, like, you know, I think that the employees themselves, like having to have transferred from one store to another, and you know, the values that one store has are definitely different than another store. Like the one that I'm at right now, the store manager is really into cleaning, like to an extreme extent. Whereas like the one over at the other one that I used to work at was more about like team building kind of, and making sure everybody works as a team, and you know, everybody's cooperating with each other and stuff like that. It was a bit more like authoritative because he was from the military, but like he had that kind of sense. But at the same time, though, he was always like very, you know, into like getting different ideas from other people. So yeah, I guess the mindsets are a little bit different, but I think the general like taking care of the customer and all that stuff is pretty much with the company message and stuff like that.
And I think it really depends on the leadership style of the manager, like you were talking about, Michael, because we all have the core culture of the company, you know, the mission and values of the company. And I think it's just kind of what each manager kind of gravitates towards as priority. That kind of, you know, changes from store to store, just from my experience.
So the rules and the goals of Starbucks are the same throughout, and everybody sees them, but some people interpret them a little bit differently and maybe enforce them at different levels with different strengths.
Sure. Yeah,
I would say so. That's a good way to put it.
I had it on. Cool. Yes, I also agree. I think even for me working in the support center, so corporate headquarters, the culture could be a little bit different than how it is in the field as well. I think there could be a level of where like I said, my work-life balance may be different than Rosie's, where she can bring, you know, her children in. That's going to be a little bit different too, depending on the situation and where you work.
I know at the military, we engaged on the different cultural beliefs and their atmospheres because of where we go and deploy. We need to make sure that we have respect for where we're going into, and that's kind of like military-wise. That's what I've done a lot with the different backgrounds.
Yeah, so I have a really quick example. So at Starbucks, at least in corporate, we're very informal. Seattle is a place where it really people don't really dress up. You know, it's kind of very casual. And just last week, I was in DC when I was when I, did I speak to you when we spoke last Monday, and I was meeting with a lot of what is that? We were meeting with a lot of council members and a lot of politicians. And at Starbucks, Howard Schultz always say, "Call me Howard." You know, we call everybody the first name. My director, my manager at the time, when we go with different politicians, I have to call by honorable so or senator, which is very different from me. That's not the culture I was used to, and that's not the kind of work I do, or the people I deal with day to day in corporate. So I had to change my mindset as I was going to a different culture, which was the political world, and you have to be a little bit more formal. And even the stuff that I wore, I had to bring a fancier suit when I met with these people. So that was a very different trip for me last week. Clement, I had a question for you. You're a firefighter, correct? So I know we read a little bit about the gender gap. Can you maybe elaborate a little bit how that works in the firefighting world? I think that's a very male-dominated profession. Can you maybe talk a little bit about how that works in your?
So you want to know the gender gap?
Yes. What is that like?
Okay. Well, there's not much of a gender gap anymore. There's lots of women in the fire service now, and a lot of them are taking leadership roles and being promoted to chiefs and whatnot. For example, down there in Phoenix, I believe the fire chief is a woman, and I think she was the first woman to be a fire chief out of a large department ever. So the women being promoted in the fire service and being given opportunity it's very plentiful. It's very open. You know, they're taking the right person, they're looking for the right qualified person to do the job. The only problem that I have seen with the fire service is women wanting to get into the fire service because they without putting it in an offensive way or something, some women come in expecting to have 10 push-ups instead of 50 push-ups. You know what I'm saying? Because they're a woman and I can't do that. But on the fire ground, the fire is not going to be less hot because you're a woman.
Right.
You know, the guy who's trapped inside is going to be a 250-pound, 300-pound person that you have to get out, and it's not going to magically get lighter because you're a woman. So the only issue with women in the fire service is the initial standards to get in that some women expect them to be lessened and changed because of they're a woman. But a lot of departments have done that, and it has cost people injuries, it's cost lives, and it's bad. You know, you have to be able to do the same job whether you're a man or a woman. And that's the equality of it all.
Correct.
Really, is everybody needs to be held to the same standard, whether you're a man or a woman. But as far as once you're in and you could do the job and you can prove that you can do the job, then there's been no issue, and people respect women just the same, and they work with the women. And the only issue on the floor is a lot of the guys end up starting to develop crushes on the women that they work with, so that becomes a little bit of a separate issue. But employment opportunity wise, promotions, women are getting promoted and getting the same opportunity as men. So I would say they've broken through the glass ceiling.
That's great.
In this industry.
Especially from that kind of industry, I wouldn't really have guessed from your perspective that that's how your answer was going to be. So that's actually kind of refreshing to hear.
They kind of like the military now. They're having all the women that are authorized to be in infantry now. You
Yeah.
know, hey, if they could do the job and they're strong enough to do it, then they should be there. So
Yeah.
I think for that ceiling gap, it's kind of like there's a lot of women that are in the military that are stronger than some of the guys because they're not a guy. They don't get to play that role. But now they're opening it up, and I think that is phenomenal. I never thought in my career I'd ever see that. So we're at our 1 minute timer now. 1 minute left. So anybody else?
I've seen. I'll just give an example. There's a woman on my department who's about 5 foot, and she's one of the toughest women toughest people I've ever met. She's tougher than most of the men, and she'll work her heart out, and she'll do just as much, if not more, than everybody else. And I think she's one of the. I want to have her on my crew more than a lot of other guys any day.
That's awesome.
All right.
Well, again, thank you for everyone for your discussion and your inputs. And I think till next time.